Hello everybody to another edition of Ask Guillem in association with Football Index. I'm doing it from my apartment in Palamos, Costa Brava. So if you hear a little bit of the wind, this is the time of the year where the wind is ferocious. It's called Tramontana, drives everybody mental. So that's the noise. Don't worry about anything else. I've got loads of very, very good questions, and I love exchanging my views with you, and I hope you come back with your own opinion, because they are really, really good topics to discuss. Let's start with Ian. Ian Hack, 1608, says, did you enjoy that Leeds with Bielsa? What's the word? Fascinating time I had. 4 days in Leeds. I have to thank James Mooney, who's the head of communication at Leeds, and Victor Horta, the director of football, because they understood what I wanted to do from day one, and they just opened the door. So we were talking to players a day before a game, just after the game, and not necessarily about what happened in the game. This was around the Bolton one, but also things about, what was the culture change that Bielsa has done, and that's the biggest thing. Bielsa has changed the culture of the club. Everybody's on the toes, but in a positive way. They come to work. This is people at the offices, director of communication, the medical department, the players. They all come to work wanting to be part of this exceptional journey they're in. Now, not everybody will be able to meet the targets at the end of the season. Not everybody will be able to get to the Premier League, but it's about enjoying the journey. That's what Bielsa is trying to say to everybody. I had the opportunity to exchange some words with him at the end of the press conference after Bolton. He came over and I had given him the Pochettino book, and he said I should thank Pochettino and myself for what it was a book that he could identify with, because a lot of that book, Brave New World, is about a manager and what they're going through when things are not right and when things are right, and how they relate to the families and players. And it's not exactly a football book, it's more about a person's book, somebody who's in the eye of the hurricane and how you deal with everything that's coming your way. And I think Bielsa identified with that. So he said he only had it for 1 day, and of course in the middle of that day was the Bolton game. He had started reading it and he enjoyed it. So thank you for the plug. And then I said, well, you know what the next thing is, don't you? It's to do a book about you. And he said, and I would like an answer relatively soon, something like that. I joked. And he said, well, the answer is no. I said, well, I've got my answer, I said. But I'm fascinated about Marcelo Bielsa, and I will go back to Leeds next month with the idea of seeing how things are developing. So yes, I had a great time in Leeds. Stefan Joash is saying, where do Real Madrid go from here, and what are the chances of getting Pochettino in the dugout for next season? Can you hear the wind? Right, Real Madrid needs to reinvent themselves. Not reinvent, but recycle, with the same idea of having some of the best players around and winning. Of course, that is the target. Winning hides everything. Winning the Champions League 4 of the last 5 years was hiding the fact that the squad was diminishing, that it depended a lot on Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance. Quite clearly, the personal relationships with Florentino Perez had broken down as early as 2017. He wanted to go. And basically eventually had to happen. So they did not replace that with anybody. I've read somewhere, and I agree, that those 50 goals that Cristiano used to add, 20 could be scored by anybody. There'd be about 15 or so that will win games and will be absolutely crucial. And the other 30 were created by him, or even though not created by him, finished by somebody of his stature that others couldn't. So you're talking about something very special, and I think Bale has got 7 goals, Benzema has got 11 goals, Sergio Ramos has got 5 or 6, just simply not enough. They create the chances, but they don't finish them. That is Real Madrid. So they have to, of course, bring new blood. Santi Solari was pushed into the job, and right now he probably feels that there's not much more that he can do. Of course, in the big week for him, and that includes Ajax on Tuesday, twice that him and the team failed. because they're simply not good enough. Barcelona were better. So with that in mind, yes, there is calls for a new manager, and as well as I've been telling you, Real Madrid would like to convince Mbappe or Neymar to come to Real Madrid. PSG is saying you've got no chance. So next will be Hazard, Eriksen is the other two that they will like. I'd say they need a striker as well as Hazard, and I know that Lewandowski will love to go to Real Madrid, but no conversations on that either. So we're going to have to wait. But in case of we want to talk about managers, the next question is from Mesum Koulé. Says, fan outside the Santiago Bernabeu chanted Jose Mourinho. How do you see Jose Mourinho back at Real Madrid? This is a very clear situation. Very clear. The situation is Florentino Perez, who's the boss at Real Madrid as well as the chairman, wants Jose Mourinho back. There's no doubt about that. Everybody around him that have got an opinion and a voice with weight are telling him, don't go for Jose Mourinho. In the same way as we said in the past that two top presidents of big clubs in Europe told Ed Woodward not to go for Mourinho, they are telling Florentino Perez not to do so either. So that is where the clarity finishes, because after that, Florentino Perez will have to take a decision. Do I go with Jose Mourinho against the wishes of everybody around me, or do I go for somebody else? The problem is, who is that other person? I think, in the same way that when Van Gaal was in charge, we may start getting a wave of opinion, of interested opinion, saying it's either Jose Mourinho or chaos. We haven't started that yet, but let's keep an eye on it, because I think it will happen. And that may swerve the opinion of Florentino Perez, who depends a lot, senses a lot what fans want, because also he does opinion polls. He rings, well, not him, but Real Madrid rings fans asking for opinion. So right now, I would say Florentino Perez wants Jose Mourinho. Everybody else around him is saying, don't go for that. But it's not clear who could replace him. I suggested something that came from an informed source within the club, that something had been considered. It doesn't mean that they've gone for it yet, which is that Zinedine Zidane could have done at Juventus, especially imagine that Juventus get knocked out, which is likely, and of the Champions League, that is, and Allegri could go to Real Madrid. So still early for all of that, but certainly something in the cards. And yes, some fans want Jose Mourinho because they feel he adds discipline and adds a lot of things that the side needs, not so much perhaps the style, but for Real Madrid, style hasn't been the most important thing. So we'll see. Next, original YRDIII says, what's the latest on the Gea contract situation? The latest is that De Gea knows what Manchester United are offering. And he's delaying a little bit, but Manchester United, I can tell you, they are very confident that he will stay. Obviously, players like De Gea want to know what the managerial situation is, and even though you are sensing a little bit that Solskjaer is winning that battle of being the next manager of Manchester United, I don't think the decision has been made yet. They want to name a director of football first who will help with the decision. I want to see how things progress with Solskjaer. So no decision yet, I believe. On that, of course, not that I ignore Pochettino, but I still feel, honestly, that it's not in the hands of Pochettino what happens next. If anybody wants to come to Spurs, they'll have to pay 30, 40 million pounds to take him away. I think it's money well spent. I also feel that nobody, including Pochettino, are discounting the possibility of staying at Spurs. So it is that kind of month and a half where big decisions get taken, and none of those big ones have been decided yet. So the next step will be for Manchester United to say to Levy, perhaps publicly, we want Pochettino. But it doesn't look like they're about to do it in the next few days or weeks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But as I said, Pochettino is working on the assumption that everything will continue as it is, and that Spurs will be his club, and how to improve that. I feel two things, and I've said one of them already, which is that Spurs, the Pochettino doesn't owe anything to Spurs anymore. He's given everything, and it is that time where nothing is owed. So I think if Pochettino goes, most people should respect that because he's given everything to the side. He's changed the culture of the club. He's improved the players. He's given them more value. He's been fighting without complaining on the conditions that they really are punching above the weight, aren't they? They still are, and we should never forget that. So that's one of the things that I want to say about that. The other thing, of course, is that it just feels that Spurs have kind of missed the chance to challenge for titles. I don't know if this chance will appear again. I'm saying on what I've seen, there was a time in the last couple of years where it felt like 2 or 3 players could make the difference. Didn't have to be the most expensive. Didn't have to be the ones that break the bank. But that chance was not taken. And now, of course, Pochettino has to deal with what he's got in his hands. Still, the fight for 4th is going to be very difficult, especially if Spurs continue in the Champions League. You see Manchester United that are doing a lot of things right, that are gaining that extra belief that was needed. For me, Manchester United is perhaps the best squad in the Premier League alongside City. In some ways, even better than City. The squad is. So to maximise that potential, still a long way to go, but certainly they're getting the points. And you've got an Arsenal that, depending also what happens in the Europa League, they have found some consistency, but they need to keep going. And it just felt, I saw the Spurs-Arsenal game, it felt that both teams like a little bit of a spark, that perhaps Arsenal missed the opportunity to get the 3 points there. And Chelsea seemed to be improving. So there's still a lot to fight for. Very interesting, nerve-wracking for those clubs involved, but very interesting for us neutrals. So Ben Smith, 91, says, how long do you think Messi will continue to perform at his peak? I think he's got at least 4 years at his peak. And then, if he wants to, he can continue at a club like Barcelona and come in and out of games and then just pick his moments. Because you can see how he actively rests during games. He applies defensively only when he needs to. In most games, he doesn't need to. In the big ones, he does. And he still have a spark, even though I think physically he may just have a little bit of pain here and there. He still's got the spark to act with pace in the midfield, which sometimes that's the difference. When a midfielder just breaks with pace, that opens up defenses and opens up the pitch. When he attacks from deeper positions, he makes a lot of damage. When he's in the last third, he does as well. Still, he's the best number 8, then the best number 10, the best number 6, and the best number 9 and 7. Did I leave any other number from 6? Because he can do all that in the world. For me, he's the best at that too. So we got Messi for a long, long while. Club Loyalist says, how do you see the English Premier League title race ending? I hear that Liverpool have bottled it, apparently. And I look at the table, and they're not that far away from Manchester City. And they were top just a week ago. It's exaggerated. Every analysis seems to be exaggerated. And I can see that's upsetting Klopp. Tension is in every side. Even Huddersfield, who looks like they're not going to stay in the Premier League. But tension... And perhaps the least amount of enjoyment in the season happens right now. So how you deal with that will be important mentally, of course. But what I see is a Manchester City that from the moment they beat Liverpool in January, they felt like, all right, things are going to change now because doubts are going to creep or get into the mind of Liverpool. And certainly that has happened. But I also see up and downs. I also see Manchester City struggling to score goals. I also see Kevin De Bruyne being injured. So very difficult to predict. I think this will go down to the wire. I see 2 teams with a lot of strengths and and some weaknesses as well in Liverpool and Manchester City. So I cannot commit to that one because I'm going to enjoy the battle, and I will try to be as close as both camps in terms of finding out how they take the solutions to their problems and what you can learn from that. That will be really interesting. Maybe I should do something on that. Just how people deal with the tension at this point, what solutions they find, how do people react, what do managers learn about the players when there is so much tension? Perhaps we should do something about that. What do you think? Charlie Barca says, what and where is Bale's future? The fans have given up on Bale. It's as simple as that. Bale is not rebelling against his situation on the pitch. Yes, there's been some gestures, didn't want to celebrate the goal with Lucas Vázquez, etc. But what else are you doing on the pitch? Only 2 shots on goal, I think, in the whole game against Barcelona after 60 minutes, being whistled by the fans, suggests there's more that you have to give. Give it, because you can. And he has to be given the opportunity. Now, with the evidence in your hands, Solari has to say it has to be Lucas Vázquez playing next. But at the same time, you know that Bale guarantees goals. And you know that everybody who's in and out of the side loses form unless you give them the chance to continue. So I will play Bale against Ajax. Ajax, a team that controls the ball, you need to defend, but Bale can do that. Perhaps in lesser games, he abandons that side of the game, but he can do that. I still think there is better Bale that we've seen this season, no doubt. And then what happens next will depend on how much money Real Madrid have to see if actually Bale could be a way of sourcing more money. Florentino Perez wants to protect Bale. I think definitely. I know Bale wants to stay, and it will depend also on the next manager. But it's never been easier to sell Bale because the fans will accept it. It doesn't mean Real Madrid will do that. They're going to have to analyze what else is out there and who else is coming in to see if Bale is not needed anymore. But as I said, it's never been easier. And that's just because we have not seen the Bale that I think we're about to see. I trust that we will. Finally, Sports Addict says, who's your special guest in Jesus Perez in Hitchin? That, of course, it's a event. I'm sure that Aria will just put a graphic there of the event that's taking place in April. The tickets can be bought through a number and Osinski's in Hitchin. Jesus Perez will be with me. I want to invite 3 or 4 people from the world of football, of the elite world of football. So one I've got to confirm, I'll let you know. I think you will enjoy the night. It'll be talk, not just Spurs, just about football and what you do with the things that you have to do with when they come your way, how do you deal with them. Jesus doesn't do hardly anything. Have you seen an interview? I think it's 1 interview since he arrived to Spurs or to England. So this is extraordinary to be able to get into the mind of Jesus, who is, of course, absolutely crucial to what's happening at Spurs. I would like to know why. I would like him to explain why he's so crucial, and I would like to hear these other elite people that I want to bring to actually have a say and have a talk with him for maybe 10-15 minutes, and then they can enjoy the rest of the show. So in and out from the stage, there'll be people that you will recognize and you will enjoy. Now, tickets are flying, so make sure you get yours. Okay, that's all for now, and there'll be more coming. Remember, subscribe, etc., etc. Enjoy this. See you later. Bye.